Picture this. It's a regular Thursday afternoon. You're in a meeting, one of the 47 meetings you've had this week, and someone in leadership says something that lands a little differently than the other things they've said. Not a layoff announcement. Not yet. Something more ambiguous than that. We're exploring how AI can help the team work smarter. Or we're looking at ways to increase efficiency in Q3. Or simply, we're restructuring how some roles are defined. And something in you, something you haven't fully named yet, goes quiet. You sit through the rest of the meeting. You take the notes. You say the things you're supposed to say. But on the drive home, or on the walk to the subway, or in the 30 seconds between putting your bag down and starting dinner, it's there. The question you don't want to say out loud, because saying it out loud makes it more real. Am I next? I want to talk to you about that feeling today. Not to tell you it's irrational. It's not irrational. Not to tell you AI isn't real or the concern isn't valid. It's real and it's valid. But to give you a framework for navigating it. Because here's what I've found after spending a lot of time with both the data on what AI is actually doing to the workforce and the Stoic texts on how to navigate systemic change beyond your individual control. The anxiety most people are feeling right now is not primarily about AI. It's about uncertainty. It's about the specific experience of not knowing what the rules are anymore. Not knowing whether what you've built, the skills, the experience, the professional identity, still has the same value it had 18 months ago. And that experience of being inside a system that is changing faster than you can track is not new. The Stoics lived inside exactly this kind of systemic disruption. Different technology, same psychological structure. And what they built, across the writings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus, is the clearest framework I've found for the specific kind of anxiety that AI is generating right now. Not because they had all the answers, but because they asked the right questions. Let me show you what I mean. Part 1. The reality. What's actually happening? Before we talk about Stoicism, let's be honest about what we're dealing with. I want to spend a few minutes with the actual data before we get into the Stoic framework. Because I think one of the reasons AI anxiety is so hard to manage is that most people are feeling something real, but don't have clear information to attach it to. So let's be direct about what the numbers say. A survey of over 1,500 full-time employees across multiple countries, conducted earlier this year, found that AI's emergence over the past 12 months has worsened mental health for nearly a quarter of respondents, specifically through information overload and a reduced sense of control over the future. Another survey, conducted in March 2026 with 1,000 U.S. adults employed full-time at companies with at least 250 employees, found that 57% of senior managers are afraid of losing their job to AI. Not worried, afraid. And 74% of those managers expect AI to lead to layoffs at their company within the next 3 years. These are not entry-level workers who haven't yet proven their value. These are senior managers, people who have spent years building exactly the kind of track record that was supposed to protect them. A research paper published just this year in Frontiers in Psychology studied 1,454 Reddit narratives about AI-driven job displacement. The researchers coined a term for what they found: algorithmic anxiety. They describe it as a complex syndrome encompassing not just fear of job loss, but deeper concerns about human value, professional identity, and the meaning of work in an automated future. The meaning of work, not just the income, the meaning. That is a different and more serious problem than a purely economic one. And it is the problem that economic solutions alone, retraining programs, severance packages, universal basic income discussions, do not address. Because work, as a psychiatric paper published this year put it, is not simply a mechanism for earning a living. It is central to adult psychological life. It provides structure, identity, social belonging, and a sense of matching to the world. When AI disrupts work, not just specific jobs, but the certainty that the skills and experience you've built will continue to have value, it disrupts something that goes much deeper than a paycheck. I'm telling you all of this not to increase your anxiety. I'm telling you because the Stoic framework is most useful when it's applied to something real. Vague reassurance. Don't worry, it'll work out. Humans will always be valuable. Does not help someone who is sitting with a specific, data-supported fear about their professional future. What helps is a way of thinking about the situation that is honest about what you can and cannot control, that is practical about what to do next, and that is grounded in something other than optimism that may or may not prove warranted. The Stoics built that, not for AI specifically, but for exactly this kind of situation. Let me show you where. Part 2. The historical parallel. The Stoics lived through their own automation revolution. Here's what they saw. To understand what the Stoics have to offer on AI anxiety, you have to understand what they were actually living through. Because there is a version of Stoicism that gets taught as a philosophy for people sitting comfortably in their libraries, reading about hardship from a position of security. That is not the Stoicism the major text came from. Marcus Aurelius wrote the Meditations during what historians call one of the most sustained crises in Roman history. He governed through 20 years of near-continuous war on the empire's borders. He watched a plague, the Antonine Plague, kill somewhere between 5 and 10 million people across the empire, including his co-emperor and close partner Lucius Verus. Supply chains collapsed. Food prices spiked. Entire provinces were destabilized. And here is the part that most people don't know. The Roman economy of Marcus's era was in the middle of its own version of labor displacement. The Roman military, at its height, functioned as a massive economic machine that transferred labor, slaves, conquered peoples, auxiliary forces across the empire. This created systematic disruption to local labor markets throughout the regions Rome touched. Communities that had relied on specific economic functions found those functions being performed cheaper, at scale, by systems they had no individual power to influence. The specific technology was different. The psychological structure was almost identical to what we are experiencing now. A system changing faster than individuals could adapt to. Skills and roles that had been stable suddenly less certain. And underneath it all, that specific anxiety about whether what you'd built still had value in the new configuration. Seneca, writing a generation before Marcus, faced his own version of this disruption. He watched Rome undergo extraordinary economic and technological transformation during the Julio-Claudian period. New trade routes, new industries, new forms of wealth creation that made certain older forms of expertise suddenly less relevant. He wrote about this directly in his letters to Lucilius. He was fascinated by, and troubled by, the way people's sense of self became entangled with their economic function. He writes, "It is not that I am brave, but that I know what things are truly mine." That sentence, "I know what things are truly mine," is the foundation of the Stoic response to AI anxiety. Not denial of the disruption, not pretending the disruption doesn't affect you, but a very precise accounting of what, within the disruption, belongs to you, and what belongs to forces larger than any individual. That accounting is the framework. And Epictetus, the former slave who built the most practically useful version of Stoic philosophy, addressed something that maps almost directly onto AI anxiety. He spoke frequently about what happens when the external conditions that have organized your life change in ways you did not choose and cannot reverse. His students were people navigating Roman society in ways that were often uncertain. Freedmen finding their place in a stratified economy. Ambitious young men trying to build careers in a political environment that could shift overnight. People whose professional prospects depended on factors entirely outside their control. His consistent answer to their anxieties was not, "Your concerns are overblown." It was, "You are confusing two different categories of thing, and that confusion is the source of most of your suffering. The category that is yours, your response, your effort, your character, your choices. The category that is not yours, the systems, the economics, the decisions of people with power over your sector, the rate at which technology changes your field. That distinction, which Epictetus called the dichotomy of control, is the first and most important Stoic tool for AI anxiety. Let's look at how it applies. Part 3. The 4 Stoic Tools for AI Anxiety. Tool 1. The Dichotomy of Control, the right and wrong columns. The first tool is the one we've talked about extensively on this channel, but I want to apply it with a specificity I haven't before. Because when people apply the dichotomy of control to AI anxiety, they often do it too broadly. They say, AI is in the right column, It's outside my control. So I just accept it and move on. That is not what Epictetus taught, and it is not actually useful. What he taught was more surgical than that. Let me give you the actual 2-column breakdown for AI anxiety as it exists in 2026. Right column, not yours, whether your industry adopts AI. Already determined by forces larger than you. How fast AI capability develops. Outside any individual's influence. Whether your specific company decides to use AI to replace roles like yours. Their decision, not yours. What other people in your field do in response to AI. Their choices, not yours. The timeline of this transition. Not negotiable on an individual level. Left column. Yours. How quickly you develop clarity about what specifically AI can and cannot do in your field right now. Fully yours. Which skills you invest in between now and the next 18 months. Completely yours. How you position your experience and expertise in conversations about AI at your company. Yours. Whether you spend the next 6 months in passive anxiety or in deliberate preparation. Entirely yours. The quality of your work and your relationships. The things that have always differentiated people within disrupted markets. Always been yours. Here is the Stoic insight that most people miss when they apply this framework to AI. The anxiety is almost entirely located in the right column. And the solution is almost entirely located in the left column. Not because the right column doesn't matter. It does. Jobs are real. Income is real. Disruption is real. But every hour you spend in the right column, running scenarios about what might happen, catastrophizing about timelines you cannot control, comparing yourself to people in other fields who may or may not be safer, is an hour not spent in the left column, where you actually have something to work with. Epictetus puts it directly. Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Take the rest as it happens. Not ignore the rest. Not pretend the rest isn't happening. But stop spending your finite energy on the column where your energy cannot change the outcome. That redirection, from right column to left, is the single most useful thing the Stoic framework offers right now. Here is the practical exercise. Take out a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. Right now, today, on the left side, what specifically can I do in the next 30 days that would meaningfully improve my position, regardless of what AI does? On the right side, what am I currently spending mental energy on that I have no actual power to change? The left column will almost always be shorter than you expect, and the right column will almost always be longer than you realized. That gap between how much energy you're spending in the right column and how little you're directing to the left is where most AI anxiety lives. Work the left column. Let the right column be what it is. Tool 2. Premeditatio Malorum. Finish the catastrophe. The second tool is the one that sounds counterintuitive, and that most people apply incorrectly when they encounter it. Premeditatio Malorum. The deliberate, structured imagination of the worst realistic outcome. Most people, when they hear this, think, that sounds like a recipe for more anxiety, not less. And they're right, if you do it wrong. Here's the distinction. What most people are already doing at 2 a.m. is an unfinished version of Premeditatio Malorum. Your brain generates the catastrophe. I lose my job. I can't pay the mortgage. Everything falls apart. And then flinches away before completing the picture. And then it generates it again. And flinches again. The loop continues all night. The Stoic version does something different. It finishes the catastrophe. You don't stop the scenario, you complete it. What is the actual worst realistic outcome here? Not the worst imaginable. The worst realistic. Walk through it specifically. AI restructures my role. I'm laid off. Savings run to X months. After that, I look for work in a market that is also changing. I find something. Maybe not identical, maybe not immediately, but I find something. I have navigated hard things before. My success rate on surviving bad days is 100%. Does the Stoic exercise make that scenario comfortable? No. Does it make it survivable? Almost always, yes. And survivable is what you need to know. Because the 2 a.m. spiral is not running toward the worst realistic outcome. It is orbiting it, getting close enough to feel the fear, not close enough to find out that you survive it. Finishing the catastrophe breaks the orbit. Seneca writes, "Let us prepare our minds as if we had come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing." Applied to AI anxiety. Look at the full realistic picture of what happens if the worst-case scenario plays out. Walk to the bottom of it. Discover that you are still standing there at the bottom. Then climb. This is not optimism. It is the specific confidence that comes from having looked at the thing directly instead of orbiting it indefinitely. It is the confidence that makes the left column work possible, because you are no longer paralyzed by an unfinished catastrophe. The premeditatio practice for AI anxiety looks like this. Set aside 20 minutes, not at 2 a.m., but during a clear-headed part of your day. Ask, what is the worst realistic scenario for my career in the next 2 years, given what AI is actually doing in my field right now? Describe it specifically and completely. Then ask 3 questions in sequence. 1. Could I survive that? Outcome: almost certainly yes. 2. What would I do in the first 30 days if that outcome happened? Name the specific actions. 3. What can I do today, before that outcome arrives, that would either reduce its probability or reduce its impact if it does arrive? Question 3 is your left column action list. This exercise does not make AI anxiety disappear, but it converts it from a formless dread into a defined problem with a working response. And defined problems with working responses are manageable in a way that formless dread is not. Tool 3. Amor Fati. What does this era demand? The third tool is the hardest one to apply correctly in the context of AI anxiety, because it's the one most frequently misread. Amor Fati, love of fate. People hear that and think, accept what is happening with gratitude. Find the silver lining. Trust the universe. That is not what Marcus Aurelius meant. He wrote, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." That sentence is not about gratitude for the fire. It is about what you do with the material you've been given. Applied to AI anxiety in 2026, Amor Fati asks a very specific question. Given that this era of AI disruption is the era I am living and working in, not the era I planned for, not the era I would have chosen, but the era I actually have, what does it demand of me? Not, what do I wish were different? Not, how do I cope with this until it goes away? What does this specific moment in history demand? Here's what I think it demands, based on both the Stoic framework and the actual data on what is happening in the workforce. It demands clarity about what specifically AI can and cannot do in your field, right now, not in the abstract. It demands honest assessment of which parts of your current work are genuinely at risk and which are not, rather than catastrophizing everything or dismissing everything. It demands developing fluency with AI tools, not out of enthusiasm for the technology, but because fluency gives you information and agency. You cannot assess what you don't understand. It demands investing in the capabilities that are genuinely human distinctive. Judgment in complex and ambiguous situations, relational intelligence, the ability to read what a situation actually needs versus what it appears to need, ethical reasoning under uncertainty. And it demands maintaining the basic disciplines, sleep, relationships, physical health, the structural integrity of your days, precisely because disruption erodes them first, and they are the foundation of everything else. This is Amor Fati applied to AI anxiety, not loving the disruption, loving the demands it makes of you, and meeting them. Marcus Aurelius had a practice for this that he repeated throughout the meditations. When he faced a situation he hadn't chosen and couldn't change, he would ask, what does the situation demand? Not, what do I want from this situation? Not, why is this situation happening to me? What does it demand? For someone navigating AI anxiety in 2026, that question has a specific and actionable answer. The situation demands that you stop spending energy on the question of whether AI is coming. That question is answered, and redirect it toward the question of how you position yourself within the new configuration. That redirection is Amor Fati, and it is available to you right now. Tool 4. The Stoic Identity Audit. What are you when your role is removed? The fourth tool addresses something the frontiers in psychology research identified as the deepest layer of AI anxiety. Not the fear of job loss specifically, the fear of identity loss. The question underneath the question, if AI disrupts or replaces the role that has organized my professional life, who am I? This is not a trivial question, and Stoicism takes it seriously. Seneca writes, Retire into yourself as much as you can. That sentence is not about withdrawal. It is about the practice of knowing who you are independent of external role. Because the professional identity, the job title, the organization, the functional expertise is, in Stoic terms, in the right column. It is real and it matters, but it is not the thing that is fully yours. What is fully yours is your character, your values, the quality of your thinking, the way you engage with problems, the specific lens you bring to any situation you encounter. Those things do not live in a role title. They live in you, and they are, as Epictetus put it, the only things that cannot be taken from you. The Stoic identity audit is a practice of getting very clear, in writing, not just in your head, on what specifically you are beyond your current role. Not a list of skills, those are functional and therefore vulnerable. Not a list of achievements, those are past tense. But a description of how you think, what you value, what you're consistently drawn toward in any context, the specific problems you're built to engage with. That description, the one that survives role changes and industry disruptions and technological transformations, is the thing the Stoics called your ruling faculty or hegemonikon. It is the you that existed before your current job and will exist after it. And knowing it clearly is not just philosophical comfort. It is a genuine competitive advantage in a disrupted market because it allows you to identify which new contexts and roles are genuine matches for who you are versus which are just the nearest available thing. Marcus Aurelius practiced this audit regularly. He would ask himself, what am I? What are the things that are truly mine? Not as an existential exercise, as a clarifying one. Because a person who knows clearly what they are, independent of any particular role, navigates disruption differently than a person who has fused their identity entirely with the function they currently perform. The first person faces disruption with options. The second faces it as annihilation. The Stoic framework says, you are not your job title. You are what you bring to every room you walk into. Get clear on what that is. Write it down. Use it as a compass when the landscape changes. Part 4. The Daily Practice. What to actually do between now and the next Tuesday meeting. 4 tools. Let me bring them down to something you can do starting today. Not a complete AI strategy, not a career overhaul, just the daily practice that applies the Stoic framework to AI anxiety in a way that is actually sustainable. 3 things. Every day. First, the morning clarification. Before you open your email, before you check the news, before you see what's happening in your industry, take 5 minutes and ask one question. What is one thing in my left column today that I can do that would genuinely improve my position? Not 10 things. Not a career overhaul. One thing. Maybe it's 30 minutes learning how a specific AI tool works in your field. Not because you love it, but because understanding it gives you information and agency. Knowledge of what the tool does is left column. Anxiety about what the tool might do is right column. Maybe it's one conversation with someone who has navigated a similar transition. Maybe it's writing down a clearer version of what you're genuinely good at. The Stoic identity audit in a small format. One thing, left column, before the day's noise starts. Second, the midday interrupt. When you notice AI anxiety spiking, in a meeting, in a conversation, reading an article, pause and ask, is what I'm anxious about in my left column or my right column? If it's right column, which it almost always will be, name it out loud in your head. This is in the right column. I can observe it, but I'm not going to work in it right now. Then ask, what's actually in front of me right now that I can work on? This is the present moment anchor practice from the Dichotomy of Control, applied specifically to the AI anxiety spike. The spike is real. The interrupt breaks the spiral before it runs for 3 hours. 15 seconds. One question, back to the left column. Third, the weekly Premeditatio. Once a week, Sunday evening works well. Before the week starts, sit with the worst realistic scenario for 15 minutes. Not every day, once a week, structured and time limited. Walk to the bottom of the realistic worst case. Confirm you survive it. Identify 3 specific things you're doing this week that either reduce its probability or reduce its impact. Then close the notebook. The anxiety that leaks into every other day is often anxiety from an unfinished catastrophe. The weekly Premeditatio finishes it, on a schedule, so it doesn't have to finish itself at 2 a.m. Structured, time limited. Done. And then the rest of the week, left column work. I want to end with something Marcus Aurelius wrote during the Plague years, when he was governing an empire in crisis. Watching the systems he'd inherited destabilize in ways he hadn't chosen and couldn't fully control. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." I want to be honest about what that sentence does and doesn't offer. It doesn't offer job security. It doesn't guarantee that AI won't affect your field or your role. What it offers is something more durable than security. It offers a place to stand. When the external landscape is changing faster than you can track, when the rules that organized your professional life are being revised in real time, there is one thing that remains stable: the quality of your thinking, the integrity of your responses, the clarity about what is genuinely yours and what belongs to forces larger than you. Marcus Aurelius governed through conditions that would have destroyed most people, not because he wasn't afraid, but because he knew the difference between what he could work on and what he had to let be. That knowledge, the dichotomy of control applied every single day, is what kept him functional through crises that had no clean resolution. AI anxiety does not have a clean resolution either. The disruption is real. The uncertainty is real. The speed of change is genuinely disorienting. What the Stoic framework offers is not the resolution. It offers a way of being inside the uncertainty that doesn't destroy you while you're there. Work the left column. Finish the catastrophe. Ask what this era demands. Know what you are. Those four things will not make the AI disruption easier, but they will make you clearer inside it. And clarity, in a disrupted market, is not a small thing. It is the thing. Quick recap. Tool 1. The dichotomy of control. Make your two lists. Work only in the left column. Right column anxiety is real, but it cannot produce action where you have no power. Tool 2. Premeditatio Malorum. Finish the catastrophe once a week, structured and time-limited. Stop orbiting it. Walk to the bottom. Confirm you survive. Climb. Tool 3. Amor Fati. Stop asking whether AI is coming. That question is answered. Start asking what this specific era demands of you. Then meet those demands. Tool 4. The Identity Audit. Write down what you are, separate from your current role. The you that existed before this job and will exist after it. Use that as your compass. And the daily practice. 1 left column action in the morning, the midday interrupt when the spike hits, the weekly premeditatio on Sunday evening. The next video in this series addresses something most people are carrying right now that they haven't named yet: the specific loneliness of living through a moment when the news is continuously alarming and nobody around you knows what to say about it. The Stoic framework for surviving the information environment we are all currently inside. If that's useful to you, subscribe and leave a comment. What specifically is your left column right now when it comes to AI? What is one thing you can actually do? Tell me. I read every comment, and your answers often shape the next video. I'll see you in the next one.